This week's question is all about being born on a cusp. Now, cusp is not a word in my astrological dictionary. I mean, it is, but it's not in the way that the general public thinks about it. Like, yes, there are planets when they're at the very end of a sign. They're on the cusp of another sign. But to me, and definitely there are astrologers that will challenge me on this, and feel free to. To me, a planet is either in one sign or the next one. There isn't a gray zone. There isn't a blurring of the two signs for me. Because every single degree in the zodiac is important. Every 30 degrees of a sign means something. It's ruled by specific planets. It has specific meanings. There are different ways of looking at each degree of the zodiac. And if you're in one sign, you're in that sign until the very last moment of that sign. And then if you're in the next sign, you're in the very first moment of that sign. To me, this is the deal. You can talk about yourself as a cusp all day long. Don't drag me into it, but feel free. Use the astrology as you see fit. Most of the time, people talk about being on the cusp of like Gemini and Cancer. And they're talking about their sun sign, right? They're talking about the sun being on the cusp. Now, to me, it's really important, especially if you think about solstices and equinoxes, because the moment the sun moves into another sign, it's at 0 degrees of what we call a solstice or an equinox, which is the moment that the seasons change. So that feels like an important demarcation. However, let's say you're in between the signs of Scorpio and Sag. It's not the turning of a season, but if your sun is at 29 degrees of Scorpio, it's very likely that Mercury and maybe even Venus are in Libra or in Sagittarius, because planets, these two planets, Mercury and Venus, travel really close to the sun. So people that consider themselves cuspy or on the cusp or kind of like of two signs, they often have something significant in the sign that their sun is not in, but is almost in. And so having a bunch of planets in the next sign over, either behind you or in front of you, will give you that feeling of being a cusp, of what we've come to understand as quote unquote a cusp. So my invitation to you is think of your chart however you want to. Know that I do not. Know that I am a kind of purist, as if you will, that the sign that we're in is so important because the degree that that planet is in that sign is so important. But consider, do you have a bunch of planets or even one or two planets in the sign that is the next one over from where your sun is? If that's what you're talking about when you're talking about cusps. Anyways, I hope that helps, and let me know what other further questions you might have.